Legyezd és visszamenni. Legyezd és visszamenni. Oda le.
Lauren Southern did a video recently where she simply walked around the streets of Paris with a camera attached to her, and the purpose of the video was pretty obvious. The intention was to show how mass immigration had changed Paris. How walking through the streets of Paris didn't feel like you were walking through the streets of Paris. This is quite evident by the footage. Now, of course, Lauren Southern's video was recorded after the migration crisis of 2015. Yet, take it from me, when I was there in early 2015, before the whole migration crisis, things were exactly the same. Things were that bad. I didn't feel like I was in Paris. It was the same sort of feeling I get when I go to London. I don't feel like I'm in London. I don't feel like I'm in the capital city of the United Kingdom. Yet Paris was amplified. Paris was worse. I think the amount of actual French people that I talked to, I could count on one of my hands. The hotel in which I was staying in wasn't even owned or operated by French people. It was owned by an Arab guy. I think he was Turkish. The only French people I interacted with were bartenders and people who worked at tourist attractions, so the Louvre Museum, for example.
Authorities are due to continue the clear-out of camps that emerged along Paris's canals in the next few days. Yet with the capital already overflowing and an estimated 550 extra migrants arriving every week,
Brutal attacks on police officers in a Paris suburb last weekend have raised fears in France over no-go areas now being established by gangs of rivals. However, French authorities deny their existence.
L'autorité de l'État.
The authority of the state will be guaranteed. There are no no-go zones, but there are particularly difficult areas, very difficult areas.
All of this then adding fuel to already heated debates over security in France in the run-up to the presidential election next spring. But such an approach hasn't gone down well with the police unions. We talked to one of their representatives to see what their problem was.
Of course, no-go zones exist. Police don't have regular patrols through those areas. They only go there if they have reinforcements. No-go zones are a taboo subject. To recognize their existence means, in a certain sense, to recognize a failed state. No one wants to do that. If we deny the existence of no-go zones and only offer stopgap measures to protect policemen, we are not dealing with the cause. We are only dealing with the consequences.
A case in point, tensions escalated on this housing estate you're seeing here outside Paris on the weekend, leading to 4 police officers being attacked in their vehicles. The mob also threw petrol bombs at the patrol cars. One officer remains in a life-threatening condition in hospital, and his female colleague suffered burns to her face and hands. Italy is crying invasion and even threatening to expel French diplomats over a dramatic cross-border migrant raid. Rome has summoned the French ambassador after French border police swooped on an Italian rail station to make a suspected drug trafficking refugee take a drugs test. Italian prosecutors have now opened an investigation into the incident. And while the foreign ministry in Rome's kept a civilized tone, some Italian politicians haven't held back.
The behavior of French agents in Bardonecchia is a very serious matter. We remind Macron that no foreign agent can come here and assert their authority. We are a sovereign country, not a province of France. We are not Macron's toilet.
A leaked report by Swedish police says the number of so-called vulnerable zones in the country has jumped to 23. The areas, often described in Swedish media as no-go zones, have sprung up across the country, particularly in the larger cities. The report adds that a parallel social structure has emerged in those areas, with police facing difficulty carrying out their duties there. The leak partly blames Islamic extremism for the problem.
These images aren't from Iran, Iraq, or Afghanistan. No, this is modern-day Birmingham. A new report shows native Britons are on their way to becoming a minority in their own homeland. The latest demographics from Birmingham reveals that nearly half of those in the UK's most multicultural city are migrants or foreign-born. Experts say that white Brits will soon be outnumbered as the city continues to swell with residents from Africa and the Middle East. There are people from roughly 200 countries living in Birmingham, and some 50,000 of them don't speak any English at all. Immigrants make up 60% of Birmingham's growth over the last decade, but have also brought with them a massive spike in crime. Over the last few years, Muslim migrants have created areas of Birmingham known as no-go zones, places where non-Muslims are not welcome.
Austrian leader Sebastian Kurz said the move was a crackdown on political Islam, adding, "Parallel societies, political Islam and radicalization tendencies have no place in our country." I've had my doubts about Kurz in the past, but he's impressing me here. This move is something all countries should be doing. Foreign-funded mosques cause a hell of a lot of problems, as many of them are just arms for other states who want to subvert other European nations. In this case, the mosques and imams are trying to further Turkey's political agenda, which isn't the most beneficial to us in Europe, let's just say that. Turkey has threatened Europe several times in recent years as well, at one point warning that Europeans won't be able to walk safely on the streets due to a diplomatic row. They also threatened to send millions of migrants into the continent if they weren't given all the things they wanted in some sort of negotiation. And on the back of this event, they're saying that a holy war could come to Austria. Yes, a holy war. In a speech, Erdogan said, "They say they're going to kick our religious men out of Austria. Do you think we will not react if you do such a thing? This means we're going to have to do something." What he means by that, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but it doesn't sound pleasant, does it? Turkey has been shit-stirring for a long time now. There are millions of Turkish people living in other parts of Europe, and they have been openly encouraged to vote for policies and parties in various elections that will help or benefit Turkey and Erdogan's goals. This is subversion, to put it frankly, and it's time countries started standing up to it. Austria is trying to do just that. Of course, all the usual nonsense was thrown at them as a result of this. Erdogan's spokesman came out with this beauty. Austria's decision to close 7 mosques and expel imams is a reflection of the Islamophobic, racist and discriminatory wave in this country. It is an attempt to target Muslim communities for the sake of scoring cheap political points.
An Austrian cardinal has warned that many Muslims want to see an Islamic conquest of Europe and that Europe's Christian heritage is close to being lost. Christoph Schönborn was delivering a sermon at an event to commemorate the Christian victory over the Ottoman Empire. Schönborn was elevated to the rank of cardinal in 1998.
Bosnia-Herzegovina, long beards, hijabs and niqabs are back in fashion. Although known for its moderate and tolerant practice of Islam, Bosnia is now confronted by jihadism. Many Muslims were radicalized by contact with Salafist preachers after the war and make no secret of their views. It's thought that some 300 of them are now on jihad in Syria. What worries the authorities are their calls for action in Europe and the danger of their return to Bosnia-Herzegovina.
This is Molenbeek, the Brussels district that's become infamous for its links to at least 4 terror attacks in just the last few years alone. Most recently, of course, the attack in Paris, where it's believed 3 assailants spent at least some time living here. We've come to this district to find out why it seems to have such a problem with extremism.
You cannot deny that all who have perpetrated terrorist attacks around Europe are related to migration.
But if you look at this map and you're providing this to the Hungarian voters, it looks like all these cities are dangerous.
As they are indeed.
You think they are?
We believe, and that's the lesson we've learned from the past couple of months in here, indeed they carry the danger.
Like London, Berlin?
Look, losing the capability to control some parts of your cities or some parts of your country is a real danger, isn't it? It's a security danger, it's a national security issue you have to deal, you have to address. The influence is growing according to that recognition that this moment following the last summit last week, when finally the recognition that sealing the borders, securing Schengen is a priority, it took us a year. We should have started with that a year ago. We are not only protecting the Hungarians, we are protecting all of Europe.
How are you protecting the Netherlands?
We wouldn't like to let through illegal migrants to enter the heart of Europe. It's your best interest to help Hungary.